What can't you tell us about The Crow?
I like the way you played that. That's very good. Lots of things I can't tell you, but what I can tell you is that I will be doing it. Not for a while, but it's very exciting that we've worked it out, because it was a nice thing to be busy, but sometimes you have to not get to do jobs you really want to do. But this one's worked itself out, and yeah, it's a great script, really great script. Fantastic director, Javier Gutierrez, which is a Spanish director whose work is fantastic. Yeah, we've been chatting about it for a while now. It's been sort of simmering away, and I have a lot of passion for that role. I remember it vividly from when I was a kid, and yeah, it sort of resonates and still resonates to this day. So I hope people will be able to sort of enjoy a new version of the story and allow a fresh set of eyes on it, and not worry too much about, you know, it being exactly like the last one, or, you know, because I think there is a bit of a cult following to this, and people have a sort of ownership of the original. But you know, it's been 20 years this year. It's quite a long time since. So yeah, I'm very happy about it.
I'm excited. I think it's one of those movies that really deserves one, but that's just me.
I agree with you.
Anyway, I get the impression that this film, Fast and Furious 6, because of the cast and because of what you're doing, had an amazing atmosphere. Would I be right on set?
Yeah, you would. Yeah, even if I am the bad guy in it, they were very nice. They were very nice. They've grown up together almost. You know, if you see the original pictures of them 10, 12 years ago, it's a long time ago. They were all young, and now and on screen they've grown up and got together with people and have children, and off screen they've got married and had children, and you know, then families are multiplying and getting bigger. So set was always a very interesting place. It felt slightly Crash, slightly Wrestler, slightly, you know, family, like a day out. It was very fun, yeah.
There's one thing I wasn't expecting for a movie as mature as this, is that it felt a little bit like a Crash on set.
Yeah, well, there was loads of kids and stuff. It was lovely. It was really great watching all these big fight sequences. Yeah.
One of my favourite moments in this film, and I have about 5, it involves a wrestling move, and you, and Vin Diesel, and so on. How does it feel to be punched, even pretend punched, by either Vin Diesel or The Rock?
It's quite scary, actually. I mean, it is scary. I'm not going to lie. That's why you have to rehearse these things, because you can't just come in and assume that your punches are going to swing just a couple of inches safe of someone's face. It just doesn't work like that, especially when the cameras are at certain angles and there's no lying. So, you know, you feel a brush quite often of the the knuckles, you know, and sometimes it hits. I mean, I cracked a tooth on the film when me and Paul were fighting, so yeah, It was a very late night trip to the dentist that night, it was.
Wow, you broke a tooth, that's incredible.
Yeah, the front one as well.
It's not like you're an actor either, so, I mean...
You know, not the face, not the face.
Now, I was wondering, you know, what is it like working with Justin Lin? Because the things he comes up with, in my mind, seem to be so out there. How many moments did you have on set where you went, I cannot believe I'm doing this?
I can't count the amount of times I felt like that. I remember reading the script and thinking, because I have to say, on paper, it was a little bit confusing. There was pages and pages of directors' sort of directional notes, no lines, but just going through the action sequence. And pages of the stuff. I've never read a script that was so detailed about how a sequence was going to be executed. But because of that, you realize this man he knew how it was going to work. I mean, he just knew. He knew what the flip car needed to look like, that it needed to honor a British Formula One racing car. You know, there was details that you won't even think about that were actually so poignant in his mind from day one. We just had to turn up and just respect and honor his imagination. And well, when you watch the show, when you watch the film, you see these sequences and they just work. They're totally, most of them are believable, which is so brilliant. You know, a tank plowing down, that actually happened. I actually watched that happen in a Tenerife motorway. Incredible.
Just another day in the office, really, isn't it?
Yep, right, that's right, yep, living the dream.
Now, this is a quiz for you here. Can you name all 5 of the previous Fast and Furious movies?
The Fast and the Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, Tokyo Drift, The Fast and the Furious, and Fast 5.
4th one is Fast and Furious.
Oh, so the first one is The Fast and the Furious. Oh, well, I got them all, just 2 of the wrong way around.
Now, moving on to the inevitable The Crow reboot question.
Yes.
Have you had a makeup test yet?
No, I haven't. No.
No. In the original film, Eric's into his underground music.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still the same, or is he like rocking out to Coldplay in the new version or anything like that?
I have no idea. I mean, his face is, it might be Kiss. You never know. He might be into Kiss. I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
When do you start filming?
I think we are penciled to start at the beginning of 2014, which is, I know it has to be from then because I'm busy up until that point. So that's good. Champagne problems, first world problems, busy. Yeah. It's good to be busy.
Exactly. And finally, as Owen Shaw, you're a fantastic bad guy.
Thank you.
But who is your favourite all-time movie bad guy?
Oh, I mean, it has to be Jack Nicholson in The Joker. He is my favourite.
Excellent.
Always has been.
Oh, you bad baddie. What was it like getting to be a big bad baddie?
Great. Loved it, actually. It was very refreshing, because I'd been playing a good guy for a year as Bard the Bowman, so it was quite nice to hang up the good guy and put on the bad guy. And he is really bad. He's quite a ruthless, cold-hearted human being. But that's what makes him quite a legitimate threat to them, so that's why I quite enjoyed playing him.
And how did you get into characters as bad baddie? You're waking up, you're scowling in the mirror, you're kicking a puppy.
Weirdly, yeah, kicking a puppy, yeah, stamping on flowers, and yeah. Really awful things, yeah. No, throwing eggs, no. Actually, shaving my head was a really interesting thing, because it changed how I looked, and I've never had a shaved head on film before, and it immediately transformed how I looked, even for myself looking in the mirror. And so that was a really big thing. It's a very visual, as a visual effect, So yeah, that was the first thing. But apart from that, I'd like to say it was really hard to find that darkness, but it was very easy. I don't know why, but it was.
Scarily easy.
Scarily easily, yeah. But I'm a nice person, but somewhere inside there's a dark person.
That's all right.
It's all right. We've all got one of them, haven't we? Yeah.
You're more nice than dark, then.
Don't know about that.
And this lot are obviously quite a tight-knit little gang.
They are.
What
Big
like?
gang.
Yeah.
There's loads of them.
And they're all scarily good-looking.
Yeah,
When you guys got there, we just like,
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, they are. They're lovely, actually. They're very, very, very warm bunch of people, and nice that is the case after being together for 12 years. There's no sort of like, well, we don't speak to each other, or it's a very warm family on the set. They've all grown up. They have kids of their own now, and the kids are on set sometimes. It's a very busy set, I'll tell you that for nothing.
And can you tell us something about either them or about the making of these films that might surprise us?
No. I mean, what is there to say? I mean, what would surprise me was how fun Vin is when we're not shooting. I mean, because he's such a hard man, he's got this deep voice and he carries himself very, he's a very big presence on set. But he's actually the happiest guy. He's so fun, and he's always having a laugh on set and chatting away, and he has a lot of time for everybody. And that was a really nice thing to actually discover. That he was, he's just a nice guy, He's not moody like this the whole time, which is good.
No, I just had the best time with him.
You
we
did?
were doing the Fast and Furious guide to being British, because obviously we're in London for this one.
Was he doing his British accent? Because he likes to talk with a British accent, doesn't he?
He was going, all weekend. That's his little phrase.
All weekend, yeah. Bit like, what's his, Mary Poppins character? What was his?
Dick Van Dyke.
Dick Van Dyke, yeah.
In fact, you can join in with this one. What would your top tip for being very British be?
Oh, well, you'd have to spend at least 4 hours a week in a pub. You would have to eat at least 1 bag of chips a week. You would have to follow a London football team. And What else? What else? Being British. Dunno, mate. Dunno. I don't know. Might tall like that. All right, mate. Yeah, how's it going? Yeah.
We've also been doing British Fast and Furious phrases, so can you do for us, this car is rather fast?
In a posh accent.
Yes, perfect.
This car is rather fast.
I must say this traffic's awfully furious.
I must say, this traffic is awfully furious.
That's very good. And finally, we just, congratulations on your next role, which is huge.
Thank you very much.
How are you feeling about that?
Over the moon. What, are you talking about The Crow? Okay, yes. Yeah. I'm amazed. I'm amazed that we've been able to make it work, because it was a lot to do with, you know, timing and scheduling, and I was so passionate about the role. It was something I remember from my childhood. It was a very poignant film in my memory, and it's been 20 years. I think it's one film and one story that deserves remaking, you know, and it's the man that's directing it, Javier Gutierrez, has a lot of love and passion for the story, and so I think it's going to be a really interesting journey. Really interesting.
I'm really pleased for you. It's an amazing role.
Thank you very much.
You've got a master plan about how you're going to do it.
Well, I have to go and do Dracula before I do The Crow, so I'm putting on the fangs before I put on the makeup.
Busy, showing his life for you. Well,
nice to meet you.
They
were taking the story and allowing it to evolve, and I knew that, and that's why I was coming on board. You know, I was going to play the first sort of archetypal antagonist that they'd really had.
I really wanted to create an antagonist on this one that had his own valid philosophy to challenge Dom.
Take your crew and walk away. That's the only way you're going to keep your family safe.
I think that, you know, aside from the action sequences and the scope of this franchise, at its core, it really is about this exploration of a family in a very untraditional way.
You got the best crew in the world standing right in front of you. Give them a reason to stay.
Very rarely do you get, in the film world, do you get to come back and be a family. It has certain advantages. You know, I not only do I get to know them, everybody, but I also get to see their strengths and weaknesses, and I can actually incorporate that back into their characters.
They were very lovely. I mean, the first day of filming was a little weird because I got to be punched in the face by Paul Walker and like stared at by Vin Diesel. I mean, it was like that was my introduction to the cast of the Fast and the Furious. But they were very lovely, and they are like a family, and they were very supportive of me and made sure that I felt very welcome. There's a lot of characters you can relate to, and we have these great female roles in this film, very strong female roles, and we have this incredible fight sequence between Gina Carano and Michelle Rodriguez, which everybody's talking about, and it is fantastic. So it has a massive demographic. And now we have a cool British bad guy. Until you see the film and you see the sequences and you see where we actually shot and how we shot these sequences, it's very hard to explain how brilliant it comes over. I'm very proud of it. I'm so glad I did it.
Did you know the sort of series well coming into it? Were you a fan?
I knew it well enough. I wouldn't say I would have been sort of, I wouldn't have known every answer to every question about the story and the plot, but I knew enough to know what I was getting involved with.
Yeah. Were you told up front that you were going to be the villain? Or...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew who I was straight away. Yeah. They must have taken one look at me and gone, he's never going to be a bad guy. Let's make him a bad. Let's never going to be a good guy. Let's make him a bad one.
Why are the bad ones always British in these films?
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I think somebody must have done it brilliantly. You know, 50, 60 years ago when movies were, you know, starting and there was iconic bad guys, and some British dude must have done a brilliant job, and that was it then. Everybody must have thought, you know, bad guys always have to be British, period drama always has to be British, Greek mythology always has to be British speaking, you know, English speaking. It's the way it is.
And well, you've actually done a bit of all of that, actually. I mean, you've kind of moved from some more independent work, and now also with the Hobbit franchise as well. How do these kind of giant franchises, are they as enjoyable as the smaller stuff, or do they present different challenges?
It's very good to be challenged as an actor. I think that's the whole point. Otherwise, you rest on your laurels and you start, you know, playing the same thing. So I think if you mix it up massively with roles and size of films and all of the different directors and all of that stuff, then it actually keeps you on your toes and you start learning things about yourself. And what you're able to do and add new strings to your bow. But I'd say that, well, they're all very appealing, but very different energy, very different machine.
Yeah. What about Owen was fun to you? What did you kind of do to make him not just another kind of stock baddie?
Well, he's super cool. I mean, he really is a very cool guy. He's got lots of money. He dresses very well. He's in fast cars. He's ex-military trained, so he doesn't get other people to do his work for him. He's very hands-on. You know, he's the first scene you ever catch him, he's actually fixing his car. You know, and then you see him fighting. He gets stuck in, but he's a real threat. He's a legitimate bad guy. You know, he's got all the assets that you want from a 21st century villain.
How daunting was the sort of driving elements of the film?
Well, the bits we were allowed to do were not the scariest bits, obviously. We had to have professional stunt drivers to do those huge flipping of the cars and all of that stuff. But when I got to drive the flip car, it was quite enjoyable. I mean, once I got through because it's a handmade car, so it's not like, you know, sitting in an Audi car and everything's perfect. You know, it was a ratchet gear stick and all of that stuff. So it took a while before I worked out, you know, how much of the gas I had to press before it would, you know, tear off and things like that. But no, it was very enjoyable. The sound of the flip car is quite immense. Yeah. I mean, it's to hear it with your own ears was thunderous.
How good a driver are you in real life? Or are you a bit reckless?
No, I'd say I was quite a good driver. Weirdly, I only actually passed my driving test. I always find this funny, but I only passed my driving test 4.5 years ago. And I'm 34. Yeah. Well, I passed it because I was going to LA quite a lot, and I was stuck in my hotel. I couldn't drive, and I also thought, well, you know what? You're a big boy now. When you live in London, you don't need a car. You just use public transport. You walk or you ride your bike. It's much quicker. But it was LA that sort of traveling to LA a lot forced me to pass my test. So I'm still sort of like I've only had one speeding ticket, which I got while being in Fast and the Furious.
The top tip for being British is...
Oh, well, you'd have to...
I lived here back in the day, so I'd say, Mummy.
This car is rather fast.
Whatever you're referring to, whatever subject matter, somehow find a way to say, all weekend.
My top tip would be to go to Duke's and have a delicious martini. I'd say, Mummy, can we go do this?
Spend at least 4 hours a week in a pub.
This car's rather fast.
All right, mate. Yeah, how's it going?
I was cooking all weekend. I was waiting for your phone call all weekend.
All weekend? Yeah.
This car was rather fast.
Eat at least 1 bag of chips a week.
Jesus Christ, I can't believe I did it the first time.
This car's rather fast.
I was completely knackered, drinking all weekend.
I must say, this traffic is awfully furious.
Oh, this traffic is awfully furious. It's infuriating.
That's British, guys. All weekend.